Perspective Shift is brought to you by fdalycoaching.com. If you're seeking assistance to help navigate you through a difficult time or feel challenged to reach your full potential, Frank Daly can guide you to a perspective that will allow you to utilize your imagination and experience a more fulfilling and satisfying life. Frank has been working with people for over 20 years as a coach, helping them understand the power they have to transform their lives.
Welcome back to our brand new series on Perspective Shift, where we interview real viewers and hear how they've applied these concepts to their lives to turn their lives around. Here is part 2 of Cheyenne's story.
So and that's what it is we have to make these concepts. You take Abraham, you take Joe Dispenza, you take Greg Braden, you mentioned, and then make them Cheyenne. That's you. Yeah. Like it's no longer
my own perception of
I'm
it.
sitting here talking to you, and I'm learning something off of you.
Absolutely.
Like it's constantly learning, and here it is. It's like, okay, we're always making it our own. If we actually try to follow somebody else's plan, there are parts of it that work, but it goes south easy. Why? Because that's their plan.
Yeah,
it's not yours.
And Cheyenne, we've got. No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I've found that a lot. Like I've tried to do a lot of things that everybody says, oh, this will work, whether it be for diet or for healing or whatever, and it has never worked. And when the times I have heard you say in the podcast about the movie thing, I'm like, yeah, that's like the times when people would tell me, to interact with that not so nice person, make sure shut off your emotions, be business professional kind of thing. You take that step back. And I finally, just recently, because I can't remember which podcast I was listening to where I heard you say that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, because it's sort of like the whole letting go and surrendering. And that's when things actually start taking place, as opposed to having the emotions all in there and mucking it up,
from
really,
the detachment.
making it all.
Yeah.
Exactly. That control to this is the situation. This is how I want it to come out. And this is exactly the way I think it's going to go. And yeah, that's done me in many times.
but no, and it'll continue, because notice every great actor will always put themselves in a role that they've never played before. That's going to bring on challenges. But the one thing they have in their history is they'll get through it.
Yeah.
And you took on a crazy role. Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
100% success rate though so far.
Hey, and that attitude is the reason that this is so beautiful. And like, I hope people are out there listening to this story right now that can absolutely relate to what you're saying and are going through things. It may be a different version or what, etc. But you are the shining light that they need to hear right now. And it's your story that's going to be the moment for them where they're like, whoa, I can do this too. You are the light bulb moment for, whatever, 20,000 people listed a month, that many people you're affecting right now. Yeah. And that's amazing.
Yeah. Because whenever
I remember, I would say I remember so many times, I'd read these inspirational books or whatever, or hear things or watch like little documentaries and think, oh, that can never be me. That could never be me. Like I'll never make it. Back when I was still in all the, trauma and stuff, and you'd want to, like, I want to do that. I want to, be that change. I want to change it in myself. And I used to sit there and think there was no way. I'm too poor. I thought I was stupid. Then it was only a few years ago, like, I guess with all this healing and stuff, remembering that when I was in high school, I was invited into Mensa.
Oh, wow.
Which at the time I didn't realize what a big deal that was. And now I do. And I just thought I was ugly. I thought I was, I thought there was no way, and then could never concentrate. All the things that I gave.
Those are all just mental patterns now.
Yeah. And it was also which I see a lot in my friends, which makes it really hard to maintain friendships, where you just take all your crap and you hold on to it like a comfy blanket and you go, oh, that doesn't work for me. I've tried that before.
Yeah.
That doesn't know, I can't because of this and I can't. And it's sort of like, as you slowly get that off, you go, wow, now I can actually breathe, holy crap, that was weighing me down so much.
Yeah.
I also do want to say, Cheyenne, the reason I asked that question is the only reason I asked you about that forgiveness is because I know you have. I'm not here to pour salt on anybody's wounds or, make anybody feel any different way. I just wanted to ask it that way for the audience because I could tell you have. And like you're saying, of course, these weird emotions come up, et cetera. And, like Frank had mentioned, it's not a forgiveness of the act, but the soul behind it and the pain the soul's going through and the pain that soul, is taking on for them to have to play that role out.
Yeah.
We often have empathy for the villain, and we should, and it's coming from that full circle is where it's going to give you the space to detach, like you were just describing, that space that you need in order to go. And what is it's letting go. It's saying, whoa, these back and forth, you're not this, you're all this, but it's just all these crazy mental mind patterns. But
and that forgiveness is so important, I reckon.
It is. That was the biggest thing on my journey was forgiveness, learning to forgive parents, family, friends, etc.
But did you find, like for me, and I can't remember where I heard it, but somebody said one of the biggest things about forgiveness is not anything about forgiving them for their actions, but forgiving yourself for, being in it, allowing it to happen, whatever it happens to be. And I was like, oh man, that made such a big difference. And once I started forgiving myself for, dating the men that I dated, to the ones that I know were good, not them. I'm sorry for the things that I've done, but like that was like the precursor to go like, wow, I can now start going, I send them love. I don't want this to eat me up anymore. I don't want to become a bitter bitch. I want to be the best role model for my child that I can be. And so I was able to start sending them love, the people that have hurt me love. And I think that was that first part was the part where I was able to forgive myself for staying in it and not standing up for myself or whatever, to then be able to go, I'm sending you love and I forgive you. God, I don't need to have any closure. I don't need for you to apologize to me. I'm just letting you go. Another surrender. I'm just letting you go out of my life, out of my mind.
Yeah, and that's the key word is letting go and surrender are actually synonymous. Mm-hmm. And people are like, how do you do it? Just let it go, because what you're holding on to is what's killing you. When you go into meditation and you go into a place like that, you're actually letting go of thoughts and notice that your body feels good. So meditation may become familiar with. So why would you pull a thought that made you feel bad? And the situation's not even here, right? You can tell a story about when you were 21 and now you're 51. It's not happening. So now you can talk about it and then you can let it go. And that's what we want to express to people out there. Let go. We could do it. Like I have clients that come in, when I first talk to them, they're feeling anxiety, and I just have them do a breathing exercise 1 minute. And in 1 minute, they feel better. I'm like, you just did that. Yeah. They're like, yeah, but I'm like, and then they see, yeah, but I'm like, breathe again.
Yeah. Round Joe.
I'm like, if you keep saying but, I'm going to have you breathing all day, baby. And I'm like, don't try to logically analyze and think about something that happened. Just simply let it go. And in letting go of it, the solution or the acquisition into the solution will actually come. So again, I'm not here to tell people to stick their head in the sand. Letting go is, wow, it's amazing. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to let go of this, and then I'm going to go share this with other people so they don't fall into this hole as deep as I had.
Letting go is like this feeling that everybody is looking for. At least that's how I would describe it. Like when you truly let go and you relax into this, you feel this sense of freedom that you've never felt. Like, I can just do this.
It's the best drug in the world.
It is. Exactly.
Then you can feel the connection with the universe, and you're just like, oh my God, give me more.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's literally like, oh my gosh, this has always been here, and for the first time, I'm accessing it.
Well, the thing is we access it every day. I don't care who you are. When you fall asleep, you let go.
Yeah.
That's why people like to sleep. But if they don't realize, you can actually be walking meditation.
Well, this is also why people like to drink. It's the only time they turn off the constant thinking mind, et cetera. So people will overdrink, like the alcoholism you've seen and experienced, et cetera.
Yeah.
They're so upset with those habit thought patterns of their own insecurities. I'm not good enough. I'm not a provider. I'm not this. They're down in the alcohol. They're beating their wife. They're beating their daughters. Like all the shit we're experiencing.
But when they're
Yeah.
asleep, they're actually a perfect person.
Yeah, we all have that most natural state.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So every day, we all do this. Now, how do we carry it into the world? Because then there are people out there like the Sadhguru who will sleep like 2.5 hours a day, and he's not doing it from a businessman standpoint. I know I have too much work to do, because he doesn't. He doesn't burn up his energy of thinking about or worrying about anything. Therefore, he only needs 2.5 hours sleep. And I'm not saying the goal is to get to 2.5 hours sleep, because we don't need another goal on this planet.
Yeah, we have enough of those.
Yeah, but when you can actually carry that feeling of like what it's like to, like, a nap is a really good one, because when I'll like fall asleep and I'll wake up and Kara's like looking at me and I'm like, how long was I on this? Like 3 seconds, dude.
3 minutes.
You know, not even 3 minutes. And it's
That's
like
hilarious.
the greatest feeling I've ever had, you know, because it felt like it was an hour. And then I'm like, hey, let's go do something, you know, but meditation does that. Meditation gets me out of, stop thinking, and, if it's just focus on my breathing. And the more we do this throughout the day, and it doesn't have to be long stem times. Like I tell people, just do 1 minute of breathing, and how you like the way that feels. Okay. When you start slipping out of that feeling, breathe again. You can do it while you're driving, it's amazing. And then
I call meditation now my medication.
Yeah,
and somebody that, like, I was ADHD, I'm ADHD combined type, what they call it. So as one psychiatrist said, I've got the full suite of symptoms. And I also have complex PTSD and a few other labels that they gave me. But I think slowly I'm rewiring that. And I never believed for a long time that I could meditate, until I heard that, Dr. Joe saying, doesn't matter if it's perfect. Doesn't matter how long you do, as long as you attempt it, then you're going to start creating those neurons. And I'm like, yeah, all right. I'll play your reindeer games, buddy. Let's see if this actually freaking works. Yeah.
I love your honesty. I love it. I absolutely love it.
I'm going to send this clip right to Joe Dispenza.
Yeah, exactly. And he's going to be like, this is what I'm talking about.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And it's amazing. Like, with the meditation, besides the fact that I can actually meditate now, and sometimes it's like, people go, oh, like it's better than crack or whatever. Not that I've ever had crack. But like, I could imagine, like, I told some people, like, I'm like, dude, connection is like what I imagine cocaine. I just want to snort it up. Like, I just love this stuff now.
That's it.
And I started to heal. I've noted, but not only emotionally and mentally, and be, ever will smile and all that sort of stuff. But I was diagnosed when my kid was really little, like still a toddler, with what they call right ventricular outflow tract tachycardia, which essentially meant I had it in my lower ventricle. I had a rogue signal. And so daily I would have when your heart skips a beat, it's called a bigeminy. And it, like, if it skipped, no, that's 2. And if it like 3, trigeminy, quadgeminy, and then there's whatever down the road. Well, on a regular basis. I know, Jim. I don't think the same thing.
Good out myself.
Right.
I made that joke so many times. I just went. But because stress head with everything, you get in that thing of like, oh my God, I gotta do this. I gotta be perfect for my child. I gotta do this. And so I always had these irregular heartbeats, and that I didn't know about. And once I did, the doctors told me, they're like, look, there's nothing you can do about it. We can give you some medication in case you feel like you're having a heart attack. The only thing we can do is what they call an ablation, where they go up through your vein in your leg, up through your heart, and they kill a part of your heart. They just zap that little sucker and they kill. And I'm like, nah, no, thank you. I'll find a way. I told them I'm going to fix it. Right. I'm kind of like,
and you are right.
They're like, yeah. They're like, no, it's not going to happen. So for a while I thought, well, if I got off of gluten, which didn't go, I never ended up getting off of gluten because I love my bread too much. My bagels and cream cheese. Come on, you can't take those away.
Yeah.
But one day, right before last year, before my kid left, it was a Sunday, I remember, because I had to go pick her up from her father's. And I'm going, God, I feel weird. I feel so strange. Like, huh? And I started feeling my heartbeat, and I'm like, oh, that's different. And I kind of started getting excited. I'm like, okay, no, I'm not going to focus on it. I don't want to scare it away, because I felt like a regular heartbeat. And I'm going, nah, I'm going crazy. I've been listening too much, Dr. Joe, listening too much, Abraham. I'm like, I'm just going to leave it alone. I went and picked up my daughter, so it's 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back, and we had dinner. And after dinner, I still felt odd, and I kept checking it, and I was getting excited, and I'm like, well, where your attention goes, your energy flows. Right. So I'm like, I just need to make sure there's no subconscious crap creeping in, because you know how subconscious gets. So I finally said, I asked my kid, I was like, Kai, would you do me a favor? Like, nothing's wrong. I don't feel horribly bad. Just would you come check my heartbeat? And instead of, doing the thing, she's like, they're like, I can't do that, Mom. I'm like, all right. So they just put their head on my chest and they're listening. And all of a sudden she looked up at me. She's like, holy crap, that's weird. I'm like, wow, what do you hear? She goes, that's a normal heartbeat. And I'm like, oh my God, I thought so. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and like, and I've noticed now, the more I get overthinking in my head, the more likely I am to have the tachycardia still. But then when I've been meditating regularly and listening to my podcasts and, doing all that sort of stuff, I have a normal heart rate. And I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll cure it eventually, but I call it healed because I have it healed and it just kind of rotates. And I did the same thing. I had really bad edema in the lower part of my legs, where your legs swell and stuff, you get giant canker. Like, it was so bad, you could push on my shin and it would go down about a half an inch and it would stay that way and slowly rise. It was creepy.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've seen that before.
It was like that for 3 or 4 years. And then I noticed a couple years ago that it was gone.
Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
Yeah, you change into a completely different person. Now, I heard a lot of people, not just Joe Dispenza, talk about this, but he talked about this retreat, and I've heard him say it other places. There are actual cases on the planet of people that have multiple personality disorder. Now, obviously, we all know what that is. It means you don't aware of the other personalities. But there was one particular woman that had this, where she had 4 personalities. One of them had cancer, but when she was in the other 3, there was no detection of cancer. So what you've done, you've changed who you are literally by vibrational. That's why you can go back to that old body, but now that you have the new one, why would you do that? And guess what? If you go back to the old one, you know how to get back to the new one. So that's exactly, take the pressure off. And as you do that, now it's a choice. Maybe in the beginning, it seems like a habit, but eventually it just becomes a choice. And that's the brilliance of this. We literally can change our frequency output, and the everything, the physiology of the body actually starts to change, because it's not that we fixed the old body, we have a new one, is another way of looking at that. We change into a whole different being, and we have the ability. And look at your smile right now. Like, you're just glowing and floating. Seriously. It's just like making me smile.
Awesome.
There's that.
This is my jam. I love this stuff. I love neuroscience, epigenetics, and quantum physics. Which was weird because I've always been an arty-farty person. I was never into science, and now I'm just like, oh my God, the science is so cool. Yeah, because it just backs up everything that we're experiencing. So it really does. It backs it up, and when there are a lot of people that need to hear it. Like, hey, will this work? I'm like I said earlier, I'm like, yeah, if you jump off the cliff and pull the parachute, the air will keep you floating and won't make you hit the ground hard. And it's like, yeah, well, what's the purpose of doing that? I'm like, it's exhilarating. Try it. But if you knew you were going to die, there's no exhilaration in that. But now, like, think about the first person who had to do that. And then some engineer came. I've never thought about that. Yeah, correct. Do you know what's funny? It's not the first person; it was the second person I'm worried about. Like, why would you do that? The first person didn't know better. The second person knew better. Like, But then some engineer came behind them and measured why this works. Now, all of a sudden, we don't think about it. We actually just experience it. Life isn't we're not meant to think about life. We're meant to experience it. Yeah. The ups and downs, the dark, the light. When we think about it, we get caught up in it, right? We do. We get caught up in it. When I go to watch a movie, if I was watching a movie, I wouldn't think about it. I would just experience it. And at the end, I'm like, damn, or halfway through, I'm like, damn, But I don't refrain from thinking about it. And then when you stop thinking, you get downloads of information in the response in which you need to respond in the moment which you're in. That is who we're meant to be, not to carry around yesterday's luggage to think we need it today. I'm like, no, get rid of it. Because it keeps bringing us back. It brings us back to that energy. Like, that's what the science teaches us. It brings us back to that moment, creates those chemicals in our brain, and creates that same person. It's like, well, if it was so shitty back there, why the hell do we want to keep going back there? Yeah, and then that new personality can't arise. Yeah. You can only occupy one space at a time. I can only listen to one song at a time.
So
unless you're a teenager.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, I guess so. But then they make it into one song, right? That's kind of
Yeah,
how.
well, yeah, true.
Yeah. So that's an art unto itself. But we don't want things, because that's what thinking does. Thinking actually cancels out what we call our joy. We weren't meant to think. We were meant to respond to amplitudes of energy, and as we let go, we're going to learn to do that more. And, how much thinking did you have to do to smile right now? You did it. It's just
None.
like, it feels
Yeah.
good.
Natural. It feels
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's the point of this. That's how I knew had forgiven, this gentleman. That's how I knew you've forgiven a lot of people in your life. You can't have a smile. You can't be in this genuine spot that you're in without doing some level of that, because it's the story that we hold on to and that keeps us stuck. And it's, this, and the pain is all over me, and you can see it. When you were telling a very painful story, the tone of your voice, the way you shared, the way you discussed it afterward, I was like, wow, like, you can tell she knows who she is, and she's happy in this moment. And that is a gift that
it's
is beautiful.
Yeah, it's almost like if you were an actor. Say you're an actor and had like 30 roles in your career, and all the interviewer wants to talk about is the first role. They're like, let's talk about the one I won the Oscar in. Come on. But that first role was what got me started. And just see, assuming as roles go on, we come elevated into a greater, not better, but a greater set of skills. So, like, imagine if Tom Hanks recently did a movie, and all of a sudden someone starts talking about Forrest Gump. He's like, yeah, it was good, but let's talk about this one. And that's what we're doing. We're constantly changing into different roles. But yet, in this here, we're talking about all your roles because we want people to know that the acceleration into a new role is what we're here for, and know it's possible. You don't have to be stuck. You don't have to be stuck. You don't have to be typecasted, as you'd say in film. Like, no, get a different manager if you need an agent.
That's exactly what I did. I fired the other bitch.
Exactly.
And say, no,
You're
I'm
done.
Yeah, but then, like, if I always done comedy, now I want to do some drama. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of angst, but that angst is going to help me with my drama. And it's the unknown. And Joe Dispenza talks about this, and you probably know this. I know you know it.
That's all right.
Humans thrive completely in the unknown.
New and novel.
Thrive. So everyone's like, I want to thrive, but I need this, I need that. I'm like, that's not unknown. That's known. You want to actually learn to let go. Like, you hear these stories of St. Francis giving up all his wealth, or Mother Teresa giving up all the wealth to go live there. And we think about that. We're like, can I do that? And why are you saying that? It's because it's exhilarating. You wouldn't say that to someone who chopped their hand off. Like, why would you do that? Like, that's just ridiculous. But someone who let go of physical wealth to get to a higher sense of wealth, we all want to do that, but can I? Otherwise, we would be talking about it. And that's what we're learning to do. I want to let go of this old role. It wasn't bad. It served me well, but I want to play a whole different role. And it's like, oh my God, this is exciting. I'm like, yeah, it is.
And that's what she's stepping into right now. This is going to be
exactly
a prize role.
Just to be here with you guys was like a big thing, because it was like, I thought when you guys responded to my email saying, would you like to talk about it? I'm like, holy crap, it was only 2 weeks ago. I finally admitted, I'll do my book. I'll write my story, because my psychologist was like, oh, it really helped people. And I'm like, whoa, okay. And I'm like, I've never done this before. And I finally got to a point like, look, I don't know what we're going to talk about. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't even know what the point of, but the universe happened to bring it to me. So I'm just going to take a deep breath into a couple.
But that's exactly it.
I like in the email how you put nervous and excitement into one word.
Yeah, nerve-sighted.
That is from my child.
Like, I'm nerve-sighted.
I laughed when I saw that. That was great.
I like that. I'm going to use it from now on.
We spent a lot of time watching My Little Pony at one point. And they use that in there. And ever since then, I'm like, it's the perfect word, because that's exactly how I felt. I'm like, oh my God. I'm going, like, these are sounding kind of like my heroes, that I'm meeting, that lift me up in times of need. And now I'm going to be on their show. And
One thing anytime I see myself labeling an energy, and whether it's nervous or anxious or anything like that, I always remind myself of the alchemist I am. And that's what I always tell myself. I'm like, hey, this isn't a nervous energy. This isn't an anxious energy. This is an energy. And I'm going to label it and use this energy in the direction that I would prefer, or that I would like to see it. And so I use that, I know that feeling you're talking about, the butterflies in the stomach, the feeling of that. And look at what you were able to transmute that energy into this beautiful podcast that you truly are going to change a lot of people's lives with your story. Seeing it in tandem with you accepting the book, you coming on this podcast, these are all the universe going, yep, you're ready. Yep, you're ready. Get out there.
I keep doing those little micro things, like, I think, Mike, that you've said this like early on in the podcast series about how you challenge the day every morning.
Oh yeah.
And so I started doing that. One of these, the songs that they have, they're actually just people speaking. There's one where in the background they're going, your daily miracle. So I do that. I try to remember to do that every day, going, all right, universe, bring on my daily miracle.
Yep.
And the days that I actually remember to do that.
I said it to me this morning. Show me how great life can get.
Yeah, it's taking on the things that you hear that resonate, like hearing Frank say so many times, it's not this or that, it's this and that, has made such an impact in my life. And just the little things, nuggets I get from you guys, or from, whether it's Dr. Joe Dispenza or Bruce Lipton, and I try to implement them. And I used to beat myself up, and I still sometimes get mad at myself for getting mad. Like if I get mad or frustrated, I'm like, oh my God, you should. I'm like, wait a minute, I just got mad at myself for getting mad. This is ridiculous. But
right.
Yeah. That's where humor comes from.
Yeah. So now I try to just breathe and go, okay, cool. Like it's all right that I forgot, or it's all right that I, got frustrated and told the cat, quit freaking getting on my feet. I just need to breathe and recenter and, go on. So yeah, it makes all those little things help, and it just keep connecting. They keep
even when those little things happen, like the casket and the feet, it brings you to a higher level of where you were before. So it's not like a step backwards. It's a jolt forward.
Yeah.
And and
embracing that is
because like years ago I would be angry over something for a while. Now it's like 5 minutes, and 5 minutes later I'm making a joke about it, and I'm like, I wouldn't have had a joke if I didn't do that stupid thing. So hey,
how amazing is it though when you realize that, like the times that I finally went on, oh my God, like I lost a boyfriend, not lost either, we broke up after 3.5 years. And just back in May actually. And once upon a time, good Lord, I'd have been, on the couch for weeks and whatever. I reckon it was maybe 3 or 4 days where I felt like I couldn't breathe. And then the universe started just throwing stuff at me. And then I was like, do I?
He's going to listen to this. He's going to call for 3 days. That's all.
That's it. That's all.
Go on the couch, damn it.
Look, that was the bad part. And then there's always those pieces as you're processing it through. But there's like 3 or 4 days where I just thought I couldn't breathe anymore. And then the universe started going, no, honey, remember this, remember that.
Yeah. And
things like when you realize that, like, wait a minute, I just dealt with that really hard situation, whether it be that I didn't have money for the car service, or, I now have to go get what they call food vouchers here because of something messed up with my pay or whatever. Where once upon a time, it would be a whole like thing that melt down and like turn you into a whole, oh, and I suck at this and I suck at that. And this is miserable. You just kind of go, you do it and you go, wait a minute, I'm actually okay. I had like, the 5 minutes where I felt bad, but now I'm actually good and I'm singing and I'm bopping around like, wow, this is awesome.
But that's where they talk about the greatest emotion is gratitude.
Yeah.
So you're being grateful the fact that you're only upset for 3 days rather than a month on the couch. Just witnessing that is that's actually the definition of gratitude. And when you're grateful for whatever it is, you just get, the universe gives you more. It's kind of like it's a gift from the universe. And like if someone gave me a gift, I'm like, oh my God, I love this. Or if I gave somebody a gift and they were so excited, I want to give them more gifts. But if I was giving somebody a gift and they just put it on the desk over there, I'm like, it's probably the last time I'll give them a gift.
Yeah.
So and so we want to produce gratitude because the universe will keep giving us more of that. But if I'm just like, just put it on the desk and wonder why you didn't get another gift, it's like, well, it's not that the universe is harming you or punishing you. It's that it seems like, well, you don't really want gifts, do you? So I'm gonna
Serve you exactly
serve
what
you
you're asking
exactly
for.
what you want. I'm actually not going to invade into your life, and I'm not going to give you any more gifts. But when we actually look at these little things, such as I only got upset for 5 days or 3 days or 5 minutes, that is witnessing. That's the gratefulness of our life. Because, like, yeah, like 5 years ago, I would have been swinging at the fences, baby. And
been
just
5
noticing that, just that little thing, and is grateful. Then I'm like, wow, I've come a long way. I'm like, wow, my life is really good. And all of a sudden, synchronicity happens, and another gift is given. Another gift is given. And it's like, this is wow, this is amazing. So recognizing when you're witnessing something in and of itself is gratitude. That's the beautiful thing about that.
And not getting tripped up in them. Sometimes I kind of go like, well, why isn't this happening? What am I doing wrong? And how can I, and going, wait a minute, it's because you haven't let go and you're getting tripped up on all the other stuff. And just remember, be grateful for what you already have. And not like you said in a couple of podcasts, wealthy people don't get up and go, oh, I'm going to be wealthy. I'm going to, manifest wealth and that sort of thing. So like, I'm like, oh, duh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. Do you know it's interesting? It's funny you just mentioned that because it just hit me. This morning I woke up at like 2:00 in the morning. And do you know who Brian Scott is? He has a podcast.
So.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. If you ever check him up, he's on YouTube.
You would like him.
Apple.
He does
he's
meditations and stuff too.
Yeah, he kind of does what we do. He's got a huge following. Well, this morning I get up, I put him on. He was on my feed, so I listened to him, and he told us, he read the story. So I'm going to paraphrase the story, but the story is about a young woman that was in a village that she wanted to seek something, go seeking something. So somebody came up to him and says, "Hey, there is a light festival. It's happening in a short period of time." I'm like, again, I'm telling the story from my own vantage point. I'm not going to get it right, so forgive me, Brian Scott.
There is no right and wrong.
Yeah, but the point is going to come through, which came through.
Yeah.
So he gives her the map, and she heads off on this journey, and she comes to a fork in the road, but on the map there is no fork. So she decides, okay, I'm going to make a left, and I'm going to fully invest myself left. So she does, and as she's going left and moving around, fully investing herself left, she comes to another fork in the road, and there is another fork, and she realized this is the same fork. Okay, if I went left, I must go right. She went right. And moments later, she's at the same fork, and she realized, I keep coming back to this fork. So here she is. She's like, okay, it's too late for me to turn back to go back to village, because once the light goes down, there's no street lamps in this story. She then hears the trees trying to talk to her through the wind breezing, but in her dismay of being angry and upset and worried and scared, she doesn't hear it. And then finally, she realized it's getting dark. I'm gonna sit by this tree, and then she could hear the tree talking to her. And next thing she knows up, and there's a glimmer of light. And then the sun completely disappears, and she looks up and she sees the stars twinkling onto the tree. And then she falls, and she's just looking at the magnificent sky. And then she falls asleep. Next day, she wakes up and walks back to the village and realized that was the light show, the light festival she was supposed to be at. There is no searching. She was there and didn't realize it till she was there. There is no searching. We are here.
Really
we're
powerful. That's what we're all going through right now.
When I heard that story, it gave goosebumps. Again, it sounded like he was reading it, and it was, a little more details, but that was the profundity of that story.
Mm-hmm.
The fork in the road is to you to just sit and contemplate. Some people, you got to make a choice. I'm like, no, you don't. You already are that in which you want to be. And when you do that, you then she got up the next day and went back and told her village about this brilliant festival of lights, where she thought at first she wasn't going to make it, but she was exactly where she needed to be at the time. We just anticipate what it's supposed to be. And if you already anticipate what's supposed to be, you've already done it.
Yeah.
And that is the key to life, is like, let go and see what happens. Follow your joy, follow your bliss, follow your excitement. And then the little gifts will show up, and then open them up. Like, damn, like you're a gift. I remember getting your email and looking at this, I'm reading, and I'm like, and all of a sudden it dawned on me, like, well, me and Mike could tell her story by reading email. There's not that much information. I'm like, let's just have her on. I'm like, all right. I'm like, Mike, I think we're going to have somebody on. He's like, yeah. I'm like, we'll have let's do this.
And we're
I'm like,
honored to have you on.
And
Which
it's
is
cool.
funny because I had started like, because at one point I went all the way back to the very beginning to start in your podcast thinking, because sometimes I have to go to campus to Union. It's a 2-hour trip in. So I got to a thing where I heard you guys saying in your email, you know, send your stories. And I was having a pity party day and I was like, I'm going to send them my story. Right. So I started this email back in mid-May.
Oh, wow.
Right. And I never ever sent it. Like I was like, I'll get back to it because I got to class and I didn't. But once again, the universe saying, yeah, nah, I never finished it. And then like the one I sent about Jim Quick, I don't know why it was Jim Quick or why at that particular point. And I just did that little thing about, you know, my life and how I've had 38 years around trauma and abuse and all that sort of stuff. And like, but just there was a point to say that you guys helped me along my way, you know, and be grateful for your show. And then to get that back, I was like, whoa, that's why I never sent that other email. Okay.
And you're exactly right.
Was that 3 days after you broke up with that guy?
Yeah, actually, how'd you guess?
Exactly. So you were just going through a bunch of emotional ups and downs during that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because my child and I have been, it's only been them and I the whole time, pretty much. I left their father when they were about 5 months old. And then we tried off and on again until just after like 3 years old. So from 3 years old to 15, it was just her and I, or them and I. Yeah. So to have them gone, and then my boyfriend and I break up. And then I also changed my life because I was like, I will study while my child is gone, which sometimes I've gone, oh my God, why did I do this to myself? It was a big upheaval, and everybody kept telling me, and I think that's something that a lot of people have problems with. I don't know if it's I know it's not just me, but where people have been through a lot of things is you don't realize how much you're actually taking on, like how much you've got going on, that it's a big thing. Because especially with everything I've been through before, they're like, it's a big thing to, you know, separate with somebody after 3.5 years. And, you know, you've changed your life, your kids go. I'm like, yeah, but I've done all this other stuff and that was really hard, but this should be nothing because it's, you know, university. I wanted to do that. Granted, I'm not yet in the degree that I wanted to be in, but like I go, well, I wanted my kid to go because it's a great opportunity and it's like something so fun. How cool. They get to be in Denmark. That's like amazing. And like, so I'm not sure why I'm making such a big deal of it. And people are like, because it is a big deal, baby. And I'm like, okay. And it's hard to kind of like, we don't give ourselves enough credit for carrying the things that we do, you know, even though we probably shouldn't, but yeah.
No, I know exactly what you're feeling because I've experienced the same thing. You know, we don't give ourselves credit when we should. And it's because we're taught this is humble. We're taught that this is, you know, whatever, you know, line we've been fed. Our entire life, we grew up. This is the type of person you are. You're this race. You're this religion. You're from this economic class. You're from this part of the world. Now go defend that identity. And you're none of it. You're absolutely.
And also, it's also, well, yeah, yay, you did that. Now what's next?
Yeah. That's just the monkey mind.
What's next?
That's the monkey mind. I had that my whole life growing up. What's next?
Yeah. And that's when you start to realize, and most people start to realize, the gift is like the gift to an actor. I keep using this actor theme. Isn't the Oscar? It was immerse himself in the role. Now, because they immersed themselves so well in the role, they got an Oscar. But to them, like you notice, most actors are up there, like they're doing this out of courtesy to the people that made this, but they'd rather be acting in another role. You know, it's, you know, this is, okay, yes. Look, I made it to this place, but all of a sudden it just starts to, like, they're cordial. They're very, you know, why? Because the gift was the role, not the Oscar. And that's what it is. So, you know, when you
it's the journey.
It's the journey. Now the destination allows you to know your fulfillment of the journey. So I don't believe in separating. You know, they say it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. I'm like, well, it's about the beginning, the journey, and the destination all in one, because this is lets us know where do we want to go next. But once you cross that finish line and you take a couple of breaths in and like, okay, what race am I running tomorrow? Not from an anxiety standpoint, but from an exciting one.
Yes.
So there's a difference. So
That's
it's a
probably
feel. So we're still doing the same thing. We're going from one thing to the next, but now it's out of enjoyment. Like when a kid goes down the swing, he's then looking for the slide, but not out of anxiety, out of enjoyment. Not like I have to conquer the playground. I got to get through it. Get home, like, damn, I didn't do the seesaw today. Shit, you know.
I wasn't productive.
Damn it.
Oh, that word. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
the productive.
So even though from the outside world it looks the same, but the feel is so much different. Because when something comes to an end, it's like, oh, so for you in May, I don't know when your daughter went off to school, but now it's
January.
like, okay, yeah, January. So all of a sudden, okay, that's an end of something, but now, a beginning of something new. And it's not an anxiety like, oh my, she's, them are going away, so I have to do something. Like, no, you don't put anxiety on it. It'll happen. And it does. And then,
Well, I did it first. I did that. I was like, I have to do something. What am I going to, because, and it was a hard thing for me to accept as well, because of everything I've been through. I went on Australian disability, and they've got a thing called NDIS that funds you to get assistance and support and that sort of stuff. And that was a really big thing for me to be able to accept. And I beat myself up for a while. And then right before they left, I'm like, oh my God, I need to do something. What am I going to do? I'm like, I'm just on disability. And like, surely I've got to, find something to be productive and that sort of thing. But in the end, I finally had to go, you know what? No, I'm not going to push myself. I'm not going to push myself. Whatever feels right, I will do it. If I decide to actually follow through on the university thing, I will do it and apply. If I get in, I get in. If I don't, I don't. And that's, that excitement, like since then, I think all those things build up to where, like you said, the excitement makes it all the difference. I'm now excited at certain points when I realize that I'm going through shit. I'm going, get the tears going and stuff, and get the wobbly voice when I talk about, go, wait a minute, I'm having another transition to another level. All this is cool. What's coming? What's coming? Oh my gosh, what's coming? This is exciting.
That level
or
of
even just
awareness
pushing
is
myself to come to this. Sorry, what, Mike?
that level of awareness is amazing. You having that level of awareness, oh my God, these are creeping up. That's where 98% of the world is not at. You being able to just have that level of self-awareness. Oh my gosh, this is what's happening. That's what Frank and I are talking about every week. You're not the emotion, you're the observer of the emotion. As these come up, you go, whoa, okay, this is supposed to teach me about myself.
Yeah, and this principles that we're talking about, it's not about like letting the wind blow you in whatever direction, but we set the sail up. So when you set the sail up, then you have to allow the wind to blow it. So you actually wanted to go to university, but you weren't like, if it doesn't happen, it's going to be the end of me. But because when you do that, you let go of the actually insistence of it having to happen, and that's when the wind blows in your favor. So it's like you didn't end up somewhere you didn't want to be. You ended up somewhere you wanted to be. So, but when you say, okay, I want to be in university learning about neuroplasticity, and then stop. Why? Because you can't figure that out. Just put the sail up, allow the wind. You're not the wind, so to speak. You're the sail. You're directing the sail. Let the wind do its job.
And every time I try to grab a hold of that rudder, I fuck it up. Basically, is what happens. I fuck it up, and I cause way too much problems in my life. The sails are popping me in the head.
We think we know better. We think the ego knows better.
No, and that's just it. We don't know how we're going to get there, but we know we do it. That's called faith.
Yeah.
Faith is knowing without knowing how. That's how I define faith. I know, but I don't know how. So when I want to go do something, I seldom tell people, because they're going to say, well, how are you going to do that? And I'm like, well, I don't know. And
I told almost nobody about this at all. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to let the naysayers in here.
No need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you pretty much did, because a lot of people will be watching this now. So.
Well, yeah. I just wasn't going to give them because it, as you know, being in the 98 or whatever percent of people, it's really hard to make friends that actually understand and get it.
Trust
that
me,
really get the whole process and stuff.
I
So I
know it.
didn't want to tell a whole bunch of people because I didn't want them to go, oh, why are you doing that? Oh, what's the, you know, and like get me in my head and freak me out and make me go back
Yeah.
to the old me where I go, oh, it's just too much. I got to be up there at 2:45 in the morning
Yeah.
to log on with them. No, I can't do that because it's out of my routine.
Yeah,
I know that that's what would have happened. So I'm like, nope. And today was like a pre-game bubble. No social media, no texting anybody. I just watched TV, hung out, took naps off and on, had a strategic plan of what I was doing
There
for
you
the
go.
day so I would be awake and able to, you know, focus.
I know what you're saying though, because I watched my group of friends, greatly, fall away, because of what you're describing. And it's not like a bad thing. It's more like you are just not vibrating on the same frequency anymore. So these people are naturally going to drift away as you get, you elevate higher, 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 etc. But that's also why you're seeing, these close friends that you talk about coming into the picture. Because at the
Yeah.
same time, I mean, we're absolutely, relationship beings. We're supposed to be interacting. You can find, just like you found with your Dr. Joe Dispenza online Facebook groups, you can find a community to share this with. The reason, Frank, I love sitting here every Monday with Frank because this gives me a chance to, like you're talking about, share this with somebody and talk about this experience. And now I'm sharing it with Frank and you're in Australia. This is the coolest thing I could imagine, and the 20,000 people listening right now.
And the cool thing is, even we get away from the idea of 98% of people, like I put that aside because I don't really know. I know this through experience. Your tribe will expand. It has to. So you're going to start seeing even some of the people from old who may slip back into your tribe. You don't hold them to it, but you're going to notice the tribe expanding, right? And it naturally does when you go to a different party, the people are already there. You don't need to hand out, you don't need to get everyone to go to this party, to that party. I'm going to a party. It's a different party. And that's kind of how I look at it. So you're going to notice that more and more people are going to expand into it. And then we go to higher. There's so many levels to this. Like we only know the level we're in. And that's what excites me. It's never ending. But now we're out of the realm of the fear and survival. We're moving into the unknown, which has its own challenges, but they're more exciting than one. I can't sit on the couch anymore, so to speak. I would drive myself mad if I did that. And I'm using this metaphorically, but it's wild because then you get with this new group of people and they don't even own a couch, like, so to speak. It's like, all right, let's do this. And then you got support and they're like, you got this. I'm like, so that's how it works. It's just going to keep elevating to higher levels. There is no end to this.
And it's the letting go, isn't it? Like, I think I heard you once give the monkey bar referral of like, you can't keep going and saying. So I think about that a lot of times because I find in some instances I can let go of that other bar. It's not that hard. And in other instances, it's like I'm hanging on for somebody super glued my freaking hand.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I want to go this way. And I seem to hold on to it, which drives myself insane. But one of these days I'll get there.
Yeah,
you're there.
You're actually there. And I think that's what it is when you're going through the monkey bars and you actually grab a rung and you're like, why am I holding on to it? It's because there's something I need to learn with this belief. Because we want to honor our beliefs. We don't want to dishonor them. It's like I always use Mark Twain. He uses this when it comes to habits. And he has a saying or a little poem, if you will. It said, habits aren't to be tossed out the window, but to be coaxed down the steps one step at a time. Now, I'm going to put beliefs in there. Beliefs are not to be tossed out the window. And beliefs are hanging on to a rung. That's all they are. But to be coaxed down the steps one step at a time. Because when you get to the bottom of the step, you realize you don't need it anymore. But don't toss it out the window. That's scary as hell. It's going to hurt you. Like if you're a person in a job and you need the money to pay your rent, like you could say, well, empirically, I could get anything. I'm like, yes, that's true. But do you believe that? I'm like, no. Well, then don't do that. Keep your job. Start looking for another job. And then, or walk yourself down. Why do I need a job and all this stuff? And all of a sudden you get to a point where that belief is nonsensical. And then let it go. And then it's gone forever because now you move on to another rung. So every rung has its purpose. But it's not that it was bad. It's no longer utilizing, it's no longer useful to what we're trying to do. But when you're holding on to it, it's for a reason. Okay, examine it. Why am I holding on to this? You go through the, I like to go in and, I do this a lot, but I kind of reevaluate. I do self-inquiry all the time. Why did I get upset at this? Oh, must have a belief there that I wasn't aware of. There it is. Okay, boom, I'm done. And then move on.
Do you find sometimes though, like sometimes that's easy. You kind of go, oh, well, oh, yeah, you got that resonating answer. You kind of hypothesize and go, oh, all right, I got that. But then other things, like I'll spend days and like it just runs through my head over and over again. I'm like, why the beep am I doing that? Like, why have I not let go? And I just, no matter what I think of, I can't seem to find the answer. And eventually I drive myself so insane that I it's basically like hitting the wall in my growth and all that sort of stuff. That's when I go to like, that's it. I'm just watching crap TV and listening to just music because I can't do the growth thing anymore. We call it hitting the wall. I'll hit the wall, have a little bit of a mini meltdown. And then after that, I kind of, did wipe the snot away, put the crown back on, like, all right, come on, it's time to kick some ass again. And then usually in that surrender, I guess, is where it comes from, that when you hit the wall and you just can't go anymore, you can't think about anything. And it just, eventually the answer just kind of pops in your head and like, oh my God, why did I have to go through all that just to get the answer?
Well, think about it, because like if you actually look at the physical monkey bars, so when you're holding on a monkey bar, you're elevated off the ground. So there's a lot of pressure on your hand, your forearm. Hold onto it. You're eventually going to drop. Because you can't, so how do I keep moving that direction? Well, I believe there are subconscious beliefs within us that we stay on the surface with. It's an exercise I do, and I also give it to my clients that I work with. It's whenever you have a negative thought, write it down. Why? And then answer as best you can. Because, why don't I feel I'm worthy? I mean, why can't I get a good job? Because, I've never had a good job. Why have you never had a good job? Or why do you think you need a good job? And after about 3 or 4 after about 3 or 4 whys, what happens is you're no longer in the state where the first why came. You're in the lowest state. And then ultimately the answers typically come to this. I care about my status in life and based on what other people think, period. Now you're done. You actually found that belief that was so deep where when you're spinning your head, you couldn't find that belief. Yeah. If you held on long enough, you just finally collapsed. And I'm like, oh, that's the belief. So sometimes next time it comes up, an easy way to do is to maybe journal. And when I do this, people are like, so if I actually discover that the belief is I'm not worthy and just I'm done, like, how does that work? I'm like, well, the analogy I use is if my house was seemingly rancid and I found, weeks later, I dropped a pen on the floor and I went to grab it and I realized underneath the couch was a banana peel. Simply by removing the banana peel, that scent, I call it scent, that's being kind, but the rancid smell literally goes away on its own. Yeah. It would have never gone away unless I found the banana peel. So that deep subconscious belief, once you're aware of it, it's diminishes and goes away. There's nothing left you have to do. We're just too scared to go deep into our soul and see it. But people are like, okay, now let's throw in the garbage. Like the awareness is literally throwing the garbage. And in a house, if I got rid of a banana peel, I don't know what the science behind that was, but say in 2 or 3 days, the smell is completely gone. Yeah. We're unwilling to look under the couch in this situation. But guess what? When you hold on to that wrong, your hand's going to give out. You're going to fall and like, damn, there's a banana peel. Works either way. But if you want your forearm not to give out, stop right there. You do a breathing exercise, do the writing. The writing seems to be very cathartic. And it works. I still do it. I don't when I first did, I did it for 2 weeks straight. I got that off of RJ Spinner.
I like that.
And he's a guy we're going to have on soon. And it was a really good, I couldn't believe how effective it was. It really was. So now I'm actually going right to the root and like, okay, why is that there? Well, now I know it's there. And it also starts to diminish. It no longer hits me. So I can continue on the road of my monkey bars.
But also because it activates your logical part of your brain instead of the emotional flooding. It gets you back into that thinking brain, and the thinking brain can't be as upset as the amygdala. So it's I can see, and I've been told that. So the universe once again is reminding me that I need to journal. But it's something you said in that what made me remember that one of the things that I sometimes forget is that like when because I've been like really happy on the podcast, right? And I've been smiling and all that sort of stuff. And sometimes I get that resonation going on in my heart and stuff. And I've been like, riding the buzz.
Yeah.
That like I forget that after, like, depending on how long that sustains for and how much of the day I have that feeling, that like any motor, our brains can't be on that consistently. So after it uses up all, I guess it's the glucose or whatever, it has to drop back down. And I've finally gotten to a point where I don't beat myself up for that. And I go, well, all right, if I have those negative thoughts, then I don't really necessarily feel that I need to journal, because it's just, I've reached the bottom of the barrel. And I got to wait for the engine to be cleaned before I can, like.
I don't know if you ever heard me use this analogy, and it's defining this differently. Not that you dropped. So if I was in a car getting on the freeway, we have freeways here in Arizona, and I wanted to get up to a certain speed, say like 75. And I'm starting from 0. I have to hit my RPMs pretty high. I like to do 4,000 or 5,000. I like to get on quick. But once I hit 75, the RPMs drop down. So that's the settling of the glucose. I'm using less gas. I'm still doing 75. I didn't drop. I'm at a higher rate. So that's a definition. Be careful how we think. You didn't go back down. You're at a higher rate, but the RPMs are at 2,000. I could do 40 miles an hour at 2,000. I could do 100 at 2,000. But to get to the accelerated point, it generates excitement. But we can't stay there because the glucose in the brain will bump. But remember, you're not at this level. You're here now. But you just like it's easier because human beings, we're energy. And the one quality energy you have and will always have is always moving the path of least resistance. And as we become more spirited than human in the physical realm, we're going to do more with less. Yeah. And what we think of like excitement, well, that's revving my energy up and burning glucose. I don't want to be like that. I actually, I taper away from that. I don't want to blow my engine. Yeah. So yeah, if excitement gets there and I get really excited about something comes new, I do that. But I didn't drop down. I planed. Is it different? Yeah. So define it differently and you won't get upset. You won't get depressed.
Yeah.
You'll actually be like, oh yeah, I'm at a higher place. Now I don't need as much exhilaration. My brain can have a rest.
Thank you. I like that.
Yeah. It's a different way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I love your smile.
This conversation, I hope you know, has been very eye-opening. And we need to have you on after you write your book, because it sounds like you're going to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's finally. Yeah.
It sounds like that's what's kind of next in the pipeline for you. Is there anything else that you're working on besides that book at this moment, or is it mainly just a book in the university?
Mainly the book in the university. I mean, sometimes I was trying to publish some of my poetry, but that became too fiddly with everything that, you have to do technology wise. And I haven't made peace with technology yet to a point. I have to a point, but after that, it's sort of like, you and me gonna have words. So, mainly doing the university. Sorry.
Remember, you are the technology.
Oh yeah.
I know. And I piss myself off on a regular basis.
That's part of this game of hide and go seek that we play with ourselves.
Yeah.
And then I got to remember that my mother always used to tell me that it's better to be pissed off than pissed on.
There you go.
Grass is always, or I was just say, always finding the half full, glass is half full. I like that.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I think that's awesome.
And like I said, I wanted to hopefully eventually, like, I want to help people. I love what you guys are doing, and I keep putting out there that maybe eventually I can have some sort of career doing the sort of things that you guys are doing, helping other people, whether it be by lectures or by classes that I teach at local schools or countrywide, or but also putting my book out, and that's a big thing for me. I haven't decided if I'm going to actually go into the bachelor degree yet next year, because it's been a bit of a weird thing this year. If I do, it might just be part-time, so it might take me longer. And it was mainly so that people would take me more seriously when I did talk about these things, because in our society, it's like, if you don't have those letters at the end of your name, they still don't, just because, like, I've lived the experience, I've had the life, and I can put some English words together to create a book, but sometimes that's still not enough to talk to people about it. You have to be a life coach, or you need to be
Yeah.
a bachelor of something or a doctor of something. And it's sort of like, do I want
You
to
made all that
buy
up.
into that paradigm or not? Sorry.
Yeah, that's changing. I just listened to a clinical psychologist that's very intellectual. I'm not going to mention his name, but he mentioned that whenever he talks to intellects, they always come across as knowing everything and they don't have a new thought. He goes, what I find profound is people that don't go through certain types of schooling too strictly, they have the greatest thought process because it came on their own. And the way I explain that is, you ever see Slumdog Millionaire, the movie?
I don't think I actually watched that one. No. Yeah.
Oh, it was a brilliant movie. It was based on this kid. I think he was like 18, 19 years old time. He's on a talk show, and it's become a millionaire. And questions are asked of him. And here is his young kid, and knew the answer. And people are like, how did he know the answer? Well, what they did is they went back to when he was a childhood and experienced that thing. He didn't learn it in the university. He learned it in his life. So everything he knew, it wasn't given to him. It was his experience. That's why he fully knew it. That's the way the real university is the world. I'm not knocking actually like universities, but they're doctrines of information. They tell you how to think and what to think about. Nothing wrong with that. Go in there, keep an open mind, do that. But when you go through life like you did, there is no greater university than what you went through.
Truly.
You couldn't even package that like, I got a scholarship for someone that wants to go through this. Like, hell no.
Yeah.
So everything you've learned. So keep in mind, define it this way. I'm not saying don't get a degree, but it's not necessary, because I talk all the time and I don't have a degree.
There's nothing, and nobody's going to hand you something outside of you, you know, that will ever make or validate what you already know about yourself.
Yeah. And I've been in schools too, talking to high school kids about this stuff.
And it's different now, though. Like, university is so different. It's sort of, at least so far, and the course I'm in, even though it's through a university, it's sort of like vocational or technical school through university. So it's not even quite university level yet. And it's so spoon fed, and so much of it's online, and it's sort of almost all open book. It's like, I could do this on my own. That's kind of how I know what I know already. Yeah, because I've done you guys are fine tuning it, which is wonderful, but I'm paying a lot of money for you guys to help me fine tune that. Where if I just read a little bit more, I could probably fine tune it on my own. And with my kid coming back in January, because it's a full year that they are doing year 10 through the Rotary, that they evidently, the return re-entry, as I call it, is a bit turbulent, because they've been there so long. Now they're at 6-month mark, the Danish is becoming the primary language. So when they come back, they have to kind of relearn English and everything, and they have like a rougher settling in period. So I'm like, do I really want to be trying to go to university for a bachelor's degree for that? Like, maybe I'd just rather pound out my book and get that published and see if if it hopefully it will help people. I think it's helping me process a lot. Yeah. And this is once again where you guys come in, because when I write some about some of the stuff that I've been in, like, I don't want to stay in that energy. I don't want to have that, because I don't want to attract that back into my life. So I need something to lift me up. And if I listen to to you guys, or to Lynn McTaggart, or whoever, or, put some things on, I do it to balance out. So it works out.
Yeah, it helps you to elevate.
You know who Tony Robbins is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't go to university.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah. So when you write a book, you're now called an author, and an author stands for authority on information. So no one could actually have opinion authority on your life. So once you write that book, you actually have authority. You don't need a doctorate or anything else, unless you want to. I'm not knocking it either way. But
no, I love learning. Yeah, we should always be craving to learn. I think learning.
But you don't necessarily need to go to university to learn. Like when I started learning about quantum physics, I actually I got a course from MIT, but I did it, and back in the day it was cassette tapes when I got this. It was called like Great Courses. Now it's called Coursera or what have you. And it was like $200. And it was a 12-hour lecture course that the kids that went to MIT paid a lot more. Now the difference is I didn't get any accreditations for it, but I got the information. And it was a basic understanding of quantum physics. But yet I have no accreditation for that. I don't need it. It's the information. And watch what happens. If you feel you need accreditation, go get them. There's nothing wrong with that either. I did when I started it, but I told somebody, I said, I think
the reason that I ended up studying. I think the whole lesson, somewhere halfway through of the year, I was like, oh my God, no, I don't think I'm meant to go on anymore. Because I think the whole point was I still had that mentality, even though I've been working on myself and positivity and everything, I still had that mentality that I'm too fucked up to hold a job for more than a few months. You know, like my ADHD won't let me. I'll get frustrated with the way they run it and this, that, and the other. And I can't studying at home. Hell no, there's no way I'll be able to do that because I don't have accountability for myself. I have no routine. I'm not organized. I'm like that. And here it is, we're in September. I have worked since my kid left and cleaning, which I freaking hate. But I do it. And because while I'm cleaning, like it's a nice balance of I get to have a few people in the very beginning, they all piss off. And then I get to, be by myself, but I get to listen to you guys or, whatever it is that's going to be my ear candy for the hours that I'm doing it. And the fact that I'm like, wow, now I can sit down and write my book because I've organized myself. I've done where I get online and listen to the classes. I've done where I do the study and I do the quizzes after and I do the exam. So if I'm doing all that and I've stayed with this job and I haven't given it up, and I now have the mindset, I actually get excited to go to work.
There you go.
I never thought that would happen. The first day I realized that, I was like, I sent my friend, the girlfriend I was telling you about, I'm like, I think there's something wrong with me because I was looking forward to going to work today.
Something's wrong.
But that's the brilliant part. It's not what we do, it's how we feel about what we do, period. People think if it's what we do, I'm like, you're gonna be chasing tail for a very long time.
For a very long time.
It's how we feel.
That's what I was doing, all my life. It was always what was I doing? I needed to do something magical, and that was the whole point of getting the bachelor's, because I wanted to look at everybody and go, I have a bachelor's in neuroscience, with a minor in quantum physics, and now I'm like, yeah, man, I can read a book. It's okay.
And that's just fine.
Yeah. And once you write your story, you are the authority on it. Because no one can question your story. It's yours,
Mm-hmm.
Even my brother can.
That's because we all think we're having the same experiences, but we're not. He had his own experience, and he
doesn't remember stuff. I'll say, I'll go, well, you remember that time? It's like, no, I didn't say. I'm like, dude, you said that. He's like, no, I didn't. I'm like, yeah, you did.
That's it. We're all experiencing our own world.
He was unconscious when he said it, probably. Because
Karen
said, I didn't say that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you men tend to do that. You just sound asleep with your eyes open. It's amazing. Yeah. But we just recently had that whole conversation.
Men can respond and not be awake.
You
got it. I'm like, what did I just say you got it for? I didn't even know what I said. Like, oh shit, what are we doing? Oh my God,
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like my brother was saying, I asked him, because I was writing the book and everything, and I said, because I just went, it was funny that, this was an amazing moment from the universe, I reckon. So because my mom's death anniversary was coming up, as I call it, I had this night, I'm taken to doing this thing, right before I go to, sometime in the evening, I will stare at into my own eyes in the mirror, in the bathroom mirror, for 5 minutes or more. I just stare, whether sometimes I have music playing, some just to, I don't know, bond with myself kind of thing. And I've been thinking about my mom, and I remembered this time where my stepfather was yelling at us, and I was sitting on the couch with my mom, and my brother was on another sofa, near us. And I don't remember if I said anything specifically or if it was just my face, because evidently all my feelings pass through my face and everybody can read them. My stepfather, I remember he slapped me so hard, he knocked me over to my mom's lap. And I don't remember my mom saying anything to him, but I remember my brother, who was about 17 at the time, getting up and fronting him about it. And I thought they had I'm like, is that when you had the actual physical fight with him, or was that another time? And he's like, we didn't fight. He goes, I remember jumping up and saying something to him. And I'm like, yeah, but I swear you did that. And then it also that's when my brain started going, wait a minute, my mom never protected me. She never protected. Holy crap. So that night I was in the bathroom, I was staring at myself in the mirror. That's going to make me sound like what a weirdo. But I'm staring at myself in the mirror, and I'm and then I started talking to my mom as if my reflection was my mom. I'm like, how you never freaking paid, took care of it. You never, didn't. I mean, she was a beautiful mom. Don't get me wrong. She actually was. She was my best friend in many ways. And I know she loved us, but there was times where she didn't. protect us like a parent should. I'm like, you never freaking protected us. You've fucked our brains, and now Craig and I have to unfuck it, and da 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 da. It's been really hard. And then I was like, and none of the ancestors evidently did. Now I've got to heal all the ancestral things so that my child isn't screwed up. And then that I sort of had like during that, I was all of a sudden like, oh my God, I've protected my baby. I've done all like, and all of a sudden it just hit me of how much I've actually done for myself and for my child. And I was like, whoa. And then like that was big enough as it was. And I went to bed all puffy eyed and everything. And then I woke up in the morning and I try not to touch my phone for the first hour or two. And I like do my own little gratitudes and stuff. And I opened my phone and there was your email back to me saying, do you want to be on the show? And I was like,
isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, I just cleared a whole bunch of crap. I don't know if there's any correlation or causation there.
Oh,
but
yeah, there is.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't, yeah, there is a huge correlation there. We don't know exactly, but we know it's connected. And that's how, it's how mysterious
whole
and
thing
lovely
is-
this world we live in. It's amazing. Yeah.
I love that story too, because that's what we're all going through on some level, which is replaying stories over and over. You know, we need to, look back, and the way we felt about certain things and what we thought we felt is very different than how we would feel now. And so what you're working through is the real work. And having you on this show to tell this story, to share, these types of words that you're speaking, I hope you know how many lives you're affecting, because there's people out there listening right now going, I know exactly what she's talking about.
Yeah, you affected my life here. That's for certain.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, remember, you are already there, but there's just more there to get.
Yeah.
It's an illusion that we're not there. I'm like, we're there. There's just more to get. That's it. It's never ending. But now you're smiling and facing the sun, and every once in a while, if you turn around and frown, that's okay. Kind of has a little attitude look, right? But, yeah.
But what we need to do is we need to have you back on after you write this book.
Yeah.
I would love to.
You have to let us know and give us a chance to promote it. Frank and I will order a copy. We'll read it. We'll get it going.
I will give you guys a copy.
Yeah.
Only if you sign it. Deal.
Definitely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool. Because that would be a treat for both of us.
Yeah, because it's your story, and it's trust me, the world needs to hear it, and it's going to hear part of it here on this show. Because if it didn't, we wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
Period. It wouldn't be happening. So realize, when the universe wants to write a story, the audience is waiting. I have no idea who's going to buy you.
I have to trust in that.
Yeah.
Because I've broken a few psychologists.
Yeah. Just have complete faith, because if you had the like the insight to write a book, the universe isn't going to be like, well, no one's going to read it. The universe gave you the insight because the universe is like, okay, you must write this book because there are people out there that need to hear the story for them to get over their story. Just like something you read to get over to know that you're actually perfect. And we're just going to get more perfection. Instead of like, I got to work on myself. I'm like, you don't have to work on yourself. You just keep moving in the direction that's working yourself. Just make sure you move in the direction that's preferential in the state of love and joy rather than anger and fear.
And to get out of your own way and let go, because that when I started with the book, before I even started it, I found I was telling, I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, because I got to figure out the legalities of telling my own story and the people involved. How am I going to get it published? And eventually I went, you know what? Screw it. I'm not going to worry about any of that. Universe is calling me to write it. Even if I don't finish it, I'm just going to follow the lead, because every time I follow the lead, I get something nice and yummy. And I like those things.
Yeah.
So like Pavlov's dog, I'm like, okay, let me follow this and see what I get.
Yeah, that's not thinking it. It's just getting impulse. And when you act on that beautiful impulse, you just start writing.
And a new door opens.
That's how it is. And being a writer, you know that. You can't think about it, because you got to write something down. You think about it. Then it's like, should I write this? No, maybe not. All of a sudden, you're at that crossroads, and it's like, that's what we call purgatory.
Yeah.
Where you're supposed to be. Stop. You're not at a crossroads. You're actually, sometimes you just need to sit down and lean against a tree to get the Light Festival to be noticed.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how it is. Brilliant. So yeah, really, this was a great conversation, exciting. And, I want to thank you a lot for coming on the show. It means a lot to me, Mike.
Seriously, I had no idea what I was stepping into this morning.
Stepping
And
into.
when you started with everything, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so powerful.
Yeah.
You gave me goosebumps. The energy that you have, that you carry, is so amazing. And it's very cool to be part of your story in some way as well. And like Frank was just saying, we can't wait to have you back on.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
I'm very honored
What
to
we'll
be
do
here,
is
guys.
we'll be airing this episode in about on Friday. So you'll see this episode come out on Friday. Feel free to share it with anyone you feel comfortable with. We'll be putting it out to our normal audience, but anyone you want to share it with. And
I'm glad you told me, because the few people that I have asked me multiple times, when is it airing? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not getting those details. I'm just going to do it.
Friday.
Yeah, Friday. So,
this Friday, and we'll reach out. We'll send you a copy of it. That way
And it's actually, for you, it might be Saturday.
Yeah, for you, it's going to be Saturday, actually.
Friday
Oh,
here.
yeah. Good point. Yeah.
Exactly.
But we'll send you a copy, and then Kayla, who does our management of the
Beautiful Kayla.
Yeah, beautiful Kayla, exactly. She also makes short clips and stuff like that, so we can actually give you those ones if you have any social media you want to put that on. Yeah,
I do in the preparation for my book, and because of going on this and stuff.
I remember you saying that
my
your
girlfriend's
names and stuff.
Yeah. And I think I told you guys, I follow you on multiple social medias, but it's like a lot of them are different names, because there's like things that I started, like I had a neurodiverse living out loud thingy, but then I changed almost everything to Cheyenne Christine, living life.
I love it.
So that I could be found anywhere once, because my book is going to be called at this point, Living the Lessons.
Nice.
Okay, great. That's
because
great title.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, living life and living the lessons, that would kind of go together. So yeah, I've done a bit of that.
Yeah, good for you.
I can't wait to read it, Christy.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm intrigued, because obviously you gave us an overview, but the details are where I like to go. So yeah.
What we'll do is we'll have you back on after it comes out. This will give us a chance to keep up with the whole story and see what's next for Cheyenne. I know people will be tuning in, they'll write in. If people reach out and ask questions, we'll forward you over those responses and questions as well.
Yeah. And I want to finish up, like, anyone out there listening to the story and you like it, and you want to share one, it's fun, right? You had a good time, even though you were nervous. Yeah. So in this,
bite the bullet, breathe through that fear, and just go, screw it. Let's see what happens. Like, why not?
We're a community. When me and Mike aren't two isolated people, we're a community, and we want to expand this community. We actually want to get to know our communities as well. And we finally got to know you. We know a couple other people through emails and stuff, but we're going to get them on the air too.
Absolutely.
I want to see their faces, right?
That's exactly it. So thank you for being part of the community.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
No worries. Thank you guys for putting in all the effort.
Oh,
you got. Oh, hey.
Absolutely.
Mike does all the work. I just sit here and talk.
So you're the Karen of the group, is that it?
There we go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I just had to get a Karen in there.
Hold it together.
I just show.
I was gonna say, I love that you were able to get a Karen in there. Good joke.
Yeah, Karen. I know.
You're gonna have her on the show one day. You realize this, right?
I know.
We absolutely will. She's off.
You gotta work on her.
I saw her when I came in this morning.
Yeah, but she's like, I don't want to be on the show. Right now, she's a mystery. But
she'll come on sooner or later.
I love you, darling.
Well, thank you so much. I want to give a big shout out to Cheyenne Naegler, and we will be pointing out, or we'll be advertising her book here shortly. So Cheyenne, thank you so much for coming on today's show.
All right. Yeah.
It means the world.
Guys. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Absolutely.
Much love.
We'll see you soon.
All right.
All right.